Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. We're delighted to be with you on this Tuesday. Alan Ruff is there, Hugh McDonald and Darren Jackson as well. Lots to talk about, reconstruction, possible calling of the leagues. It's all in the mix with a one-to-one with Tony Watt, the Motherwell striker, to look forward to as well. And as ever at the start, thank you very much to each and every one of you for sticking with us. Like, share and follow on our Facebook page if you can. And if you're on YouTube Live, don't forget to subscribe. Here's the quiz. There you are, Roughie. Which year did Rangers win? 9 in a row. It should be easy enough for one half of Glasgow, that quiz today. Lots to talk about. Great to see you all. Roughie, you seem to be getting darker and darker as the days go on. Have you spent any time inside your house?
No, I have to say, Peter, I've been out in the garden nearly all day. Obviously, footing about, cutting hedges, cutting grass, painting, whatever. Unfortunately, there's been quite a strong wind, I think, everywhere if you've been out in the garden. I got a wee bit bored earlier on, so I made myself a kite. And I've been kite flying for the last half hour, just throwing it up there. Shows how bored I am.
Do not believe that, honestly. Last week it was archery. This week it's kite flying.
He apparently wants to come round to hit my house and borrow my Skeletrics. You know, that's his next thing.
I'll tell you one thing. I don't know about you, Darren, but I'm looking at Hugh's house there, and when you see no pictures on the wall and everything, you start to think, and it looks very Magnolia. It looks as if he's ready to move, Darren. I think he might be selling that flat.
Well, he's desperate to get going then, Hugh.
I'm actually, do you know what I'm going to do, Peter? I'm going to paint it during lockdown. That's why it's all been stripped, ready to paint.
Right.
Leave it.
It's getting a wee bit. Yeah, absolutely. Well, just out of curiosity, I mean, I know what you're like, because you're a guy that likes company, Darren. I mean, what type of mad things have you actually thought about doing yourself? Because I am watching grown men and women doing crazy things on videos, TikTok, you name it, they're all into it. It's mental.
Yeah,
I'm watching them most nights.
That's not lockdown for Roughie.
You're quite scary, Roughie. You really are.
Not doing anything mad, Peter. Not doing TikTok. I've got Jordan and Jacob, and we play cards every night after dinner. Doing a lot of cooking. Jordan's doing a lot of cooking. Actually, really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's a strange thing, actually. In some ways, you know, we really worry, and our thoughts go out to people who've lost family members, and this whole virus really has taken its toll. And we tell people to stay in, and please follow government recommendations. Staying in, people are getting closer together. There's obviously a downside for some families. I am aware of that, but you know, people are getting a chance to bond and maybe get a chance to talk to each other. So with that in mind, we will be reading out as many of your messages as possible and some of the points that you want to put across. Just before we get into the meat and bones of it, yesterday Barry Ferguson launched what can only be described as a fantastic gesture. He has offered up his Scotland top that he wore in 2007 in the Parc des Princes. There it is there, with the cap, with the captain's armband. It's in a frame. And the money from the highest bid in an auction will go to the NHS Scotland. So it's a great gesture by Barry. And I'd like to thank Brian, who's living in Italy, watches the show. And Brian, so many people have actually bid. We've had David who bid, we had Greg, we had John bidding as well. But Brian's come up with a bid of £10,000, Hugh McDonald. I mean, how good is that?
That's fantastic. It's a great gesture, that, because what you know, was Barry's hand in a way as well as a real substantial chunk of memory as well, isn't it? I mean, what a game. But £10,000, fantastic. Well done, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. Full marks to him as well. Lots of things to get through. We'll have the one-to-one with Tony Watt to look forward to as well. But first of all, let me give you the latest news, which is UEFA have released a statement. Of course, they were having this video conference with the 55 member nations. Everybody's wondering how they're going to decide what's happening with regards to the leagues across Europe. UEFA met its 55 member associations, presented updates on options being looked into by the two working groups. Calendar options were presented covering both national team and club competition. UEFA is committed to meeting payments to member associations as planned, which is good news. Strong recommendation given to finish domestic top division and cup competitions. Special cases will be heard once guidelines concerning participation to European competitions in the case of a cancelled league, if that has been developed. Decisions on the above topics will be announced after the UEFA Executive Committee on Thursday. Roughie, your immediate reaction to that?
Out there, to give a guidance of if you cancel your league, are your teams going to get playing in Europe? And I think that's the big one. It's a big one for our big teams. That's the kind of indication they're looking for, a strong. If we cancel it, then there's no problem with Europe, and then we can move on for that. But I still baffles me the way they keep going on about finishing the seasons. It really does. When you hear everything that's going on, not just here but in all the other countries in the world as well. And they're just hanging on in there, and we know why they're hanging on there. It's the money side of it. But it seems to be the more and more statements they put out like that, it gets more ridiculous by the day.
That, Roughie, just on the basis that, Hugh, give me your interpretation for it, because I don't believe that Scotland would be one of the special cases in this.
No,
I think might be other countries.
Yeah, I think it's split roughly, Peter, into two camps. The first camp is call your leagues if you're not going to lose too much money over and get into wrangles over television deals. Just call them if it's you and your individual, call them. If there's a problem and you foresee a problem with massive, now talking about the top five leagues in the world here, massive clawbacks that you don't finish the league, we'll give you dispensation to play on or to extend the season. Now this is opposite in one case at the moment, because there is talk of the Bundesliga, Peter, getting back behind closed doors on May 9. So there's a possibility there. And of course they can do, unlike Scotland, because they're not relying on gate money, so they can put the outlay into behind closed doors in the expectation of getting television money in return.
Yeah, I'm amazed at some of the leagues that are talking about getting back, because if you look at the news, and I know we all follow reading papers, sucking up as much knowledge and information, whether it be on the virus itself and the government's position on when people will be allowed to go out. But if you look at Japan, Darren, and how they've had a resurgence of the virus kicking in because basically they let the public out too early. I mean, I'm looking at leagues across Europe and thinking there's no danger anybody's going to be kicking a ball. Surely you can't take that chance.
I think day by day, Peter. I can remember actually being in the studio and you saying it's going to get locked down and we're not going to be in here. And I was thinking, is it going to be that bad? Each day goes on now. I actually can't see the league start. And I find it strange in Germany that they're looking at that. And as you say, the death tolls don't seem to be coming down. And the ones who have opened too early, as you say, Japan, they're going back up again. So that'll scare other countries, especially Britain, into closing them too early.
The other thing that's on my mind on this, Hugh, and I don't want to attack them just basically because I've got that many cousins over there. I don't want to fall out with them. But we're in danger of, when you watch the BBC News, I think that we're in danger of actually going, Okay, we're now about to give you some words from the English FA on when they're all going to go back playing football, and then we'll quickly follow that by an update on America and their attitude to lockdown, because both are very closely linked to each other on the stupidity of it all. I don't think the FA are getting any chance whatsoever of kicking a ball, yet they keep releasing these dates. They keep talking about potentially playing it. Are they, have they lost the plot?
Yeah, I think what they want to do all the time is just take holding positions, Peter. I don't think they want to scare off anybody by going too soon. But I think, like you, if any rational look at the situation would suggest that at best, and this means at best, we're at peak at the moment. Who knows? Just see we are at peak at the moment. There's a long way to go down till it becomes the National Health Service can cope comfortably. Because what the certainty about this virus is, it will come back because there's no vaccine for it. It is there's no testing, so we don't know, or there's limited testing. So there's people walking about out there who will have this virus, maybe not desperately bad, but they'll have it. So as soon as it goes down and we meet these people in our daily interaction, there's going to be a spike again. It's patently obvious, that you don't need to be an epidemiologist to know that, or a scientist. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's difficult times, and you can give us your view on it. I'm reading out as many as I possibly can. William Gibson, thank you very much for joining us on YouTube. I would say that there are, as ever, and please forgive me for this, but I make no bones about, actually, I'm pandering on this programme to the majority, and I'm going to continue to pander to the majority, which is sensible, decent, level-headed people, bigots or racists. And if you get hacked off with me consistently leathering you, then this is hopefully the place where you won't come back to. So Ken Lyle and various other people who want to post anything to try and annoy people, then, this really isn't the place for you. This is a football show. So please, if you want to make a point, please, by all means, make a point and put it across in a decent manner without being abusive. Thanks very much to lots of people who've mentioned the gesture by Barry Ferguson. Lots of Celtic fans have mentioned it. As ever, as you know, Barry's big enough and man enough, Roughie. He gets it in the neck from a few people with the age-old lines that they want to give him. But he can rise above it, because if he hands over a cheque for £10,000 to the NHS, it's a big slap in the back for him, because I know that jersey, cap and the armband means a lot to him.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing, the kind of gesture you would think that would join sets of fans together. There's no football getting played. It is an unbelievable gesture. I didn't really like that strip, but when I see it in that frame, it looks actually quite good. I think it's quite a nice strip now, and obviously the cap, to say it all, if you ask Darren, getting a cap for your country and physically having it in your presence is absolutely fantastic. So for Barry to put the actual cap into the actual strip is absolutely amazing. It is, and whoever, I think I'll go for a lot more than £10,000. It's worth a lot more than £10,000. It's fantastic.
100%.
Yeah. I was just thinking, Roughie should put up the gloves and the jersey used against Brazil, because the jersey won't be dirty and the gloves will be used.
There are so many people up here who've been suggesting surely this is a time for what do you call it, Scary Spice's knickers to go up. He's got them.
That could be the joke. That could be the joke auction. That could be the joke auction. Yep.
Lots of people, Hugh Smiley, Joseph Byrne, thanks very much to each and every one of you for giving us your thoughts. BS says Peter loves to berate his viewers. I don't. I just love to get rid of the morons, BS. It's as simple as that. And if I have to do it every day, I'll do it every day, because the majority of decent people, sometimes their voice isn't heard. So it's my job to actually highlight them. If it loses the odd numpty here and there, we're absolutely delighted. So with UEFA and the 55 member, I know you two are laughing at me, but I don't know about you, but people seem to highlight negative stories and the dafties. But I think we as football fans, we've got fantastic fans who support, Motherwell, Dundee United, Rangers, Celtic, the lot, and they're all thoroughly decent people. It's just the 2% that I think annoys everybody. Anyway, I might be on moaning that because Dan's looking at me as if I'm a complete. he's looking. He's looking at me as if I'm a complete rocket.
On the days I'm not on, I watch and I see some of the stuff. And listen, Barry was a big name, and I see what Barry gets. And when it's banter, Barry as a player, he thrived on it. Scott Brown thrived on it. I thrived on it myself. And you can go that, but it's when they cross the line, it's just wrong when a boy's coming on and giving his opinion and giving a gesture what he's done, and it's incredible. And people just think, well, he's got quite a few of them. It's memories. It's memories you're giving away, but it's memories given away for a incredible auction for the NHS, which is they've done an incredible job.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Here. Just on that point, guys. How do you think it'll go then, Hugh? Do you think they'll call the Scottish Premiership this week?
Yeah, I think the Scottish Premiership will be called in Q shouting and bawling and breach of the peace. I'm a bit more ambivalent about the Scottish Cup because I feel that there might be a move to keep that going because that would only add 3 games to next season. So I've got a suspicion that there might be a move to play that when we come back. But Peter, see at the moment, I think all things are. I mean, I think calling the league just has to be done because we're now talking about a First Minister saying, maybe nothing this year at all, and we're now talking about football clubs generally. Even the most optimistic thing I've heard, Peter, in Scotland is football by September the 1st, and that's really optimistic. So there's going to be a squeeze. So something's got to give in next season as well. So but I think the short answer is yes, Premiership called.
Yeah, Darren, what's your take?
Well, it looks as though they're going to have to do something. Now we know they're wanting an independent inquiry into what's happened just gone. They'll probably want an independent inquiry into this as well. They have to make a decision what's going to happen. Now, whether it's right. Now, people think I'm going from the Celtic side, but people will just have to accept that if they are going to call it that Celtic are top of the league, Hearts are bottom. I don't want Hearts relegated, Peter. You know my views on that. But they're going to have to make a decision now, and if that's the way it's going to be, that's the way it's got to be.
Yeah, we love an investigation in this country, Roughie. It's heading towards another one, as Darren said.
Yeah, it certainly is. But obviously, Hugh's not heard that Celtic are getting handed the Scottish Cup because they won it for the last 3 years. So that'll be that sorted. The
great thing about Roughie is he's not bitter in any way whatsoever. There's no bitterness there.
No.
Not announced.
The thing about it is, Hugh, he's tried that gag for the last 2 or 3 days to see who's going to jump in, and Barry yesterday nearly went in hook, line, and sinker on it, but he managed to jump back.
Peter, I don't know, like all the messages coming in and all that. I've never seen anything that a Celtic fan, or obviously the Celtic players don't come on, but I've never seen any come from Celtic that they actually want to be handed the title. They want to try. They want it to be played, and they want to win it fair and square if they are, and do it in front of their own fans. They don't want to be handed the title.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, Darren, and I'm not for a minute, leathering the Celtic players or the football club. I would just say to you, Hugh, they're playing a fantastic piece of chess here, because at the end of the day, no matter what Celtic say, it'll be come out, it'll be twisted, it'll be shoved back towards them. They've kept their own counsel, and when they've been asked on the point of, do you want to play it, they're more than happy to play it, but they know it's not going to be. They know that this league is not going to be finished in the proper fashion.
Well, I can tell you from the very highest level at Celtic, high sources in Celtic, they wanted to finish the league, and it's for obvious reasons. This is not, they had a potential of 5 home games sold out home games coming up. There's the potential to complete, just the potential to complete a quadruple treble. Every Celtic fan would be, desperate to get there for Flag Day for 9. Can you imagine, Peter, the amount of money that would have been generated by a 9 in a row Flag Day, merchandise, etc., etc. So I think it's just silly to say that Celtic didn't, that they didn't want to play it. What they've done very, very cleverly, Celtic, is that they have remained above the fray. Certainly publicly. They have not, in the tsunami of statements that come out, Celtic haven't issued a statement. They've just let it go. They've let the whole thing play out. I think Celtic's only worry in the whole thing, they would have taken playing because, remember, Rangers weren't catching Celtic. Rangers were going further and further behind, Peter. So, but I think the only thing that Celtic worried about was that the league might be declared null and void, and that was something they were determined not to happen. So I think that was their only case. Otherwise, call the league second best option, play to an end best option. But now it's coming, call the league.
Yeah, the other thing here, I've just got a message in, Roughie. I don't know, if Hugh is just, as they say in Scotland, it's a great line, it's a great phrase. I'm not sure if Hugh is just bumming his load here, because this guy says, how high up do you know somebody at Celtic? This is from a Dermot Desmond. So people obviously emailing in, yeah. How high up do you know? Stop name dropping on the show, will you?
It was the ghost. I tell you, Peter, I was in a seance with the ghost of Brother Walford.
Yeah, Roughie, nothing like name dropping on the show, Roughie. Somebody really high up, somebody at the Pentagon,
No, it's he only mixes with the top people, the McAvinnies, the Sir Alex Ferguson's. He's got a phone with just everybody's individual. Just press a button and he just gets straight through. I mean, there's no stopping that man.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, Roughie. He must have knocked my phone for about 3 months of the year, because he's never done nailing me for a phone number, and equally so with Darren there. I've never done nicking his numbers as well. Anyway, can't play behind closed doors, says Mark Derrigetti. You can't test 50 people, he says, per game. Plus, each game needs a doctor, 2 paramedics, and an ambulance as well. So lots of people. Robert Richardson, why give it to Celtic? And Tony Robertson says, I'm guessing there'll be no European games in the near future either. Thoughts on that, Tony? I think it's a very good point. Lots of people giving us their thoughts on this one. I just wonder, guys, at the other end of the table, I'm playing devil's advocate here. Should Anne Budge, Hugh McDonald, be on the panel deciding on this task force about any real resolutions that they're going to put for vote? Because surely her position is compromised, because she's going to be pushing the fact of get to 14. We don't want to be relegated.
Yeah, and even more, Peter, I think her position is probably injurious to league reconstruction, because there's certainly, if you read over the last couple of days, the papers with certain chairmen down the leagues in particular, they don't like the fact that this the way this is going, and there's certain people who have already stated that they'll vote for anything, they'll vote against anything that is seen to benefit Hearts. So I think this is it's literally, the SPFL have kicked the ball into the long grass and told Anne Budge to go and look for it. And if she finds it, if she finds the ball, it may well be burst. Because I think the chances of league construction that'll get votes, particularly Anne Budge in the sort of driving seat, are really, really slim.
Roughie, it's quite disheartening, and I agree with Hugh on this point, because this 11-1 vote is sticking in my throat, because I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, we should have a blank sheet of paper. We should rise above the self-interest situation and look for something that is a long-term proposal that Scottish football could stick to, rather than a short-term one. but I seriously, like Hugh, have my doubts because of this 11-1 vote.
Yeah, I'm the same. Self-interest, I think, is one of the reasons why we've never had league reconstruction the last 3 or 4 years. Seems to be all about money, and that's the way it seems to have gone. And my main worry now is we've just had a vote to give clubs money. I think now we're going to get into a vote where you're taking money off of clubs by league reconstruction. So I think there's a lot of clubs will be saying, oh, wait a wee minute, if we start adding clubs here, particularly in the second division, I saw the boy for Elgin saying, I don't know if we need another 2. That would obviously mean we'll get less money down the line and all that. And if you've got people like that thinking along their lines, it's going to be a hard task to convince. I think it's 15 out of 20 for the first and second. But I was reading it a bit, Peter, and correct me if I never picked this up right. That 11-1 vote is in the resolution. But if there's no money involved in losing money, it can be a 9 out of 12. If all the money stays the same, it's 9 out of 12. But if they want to start changing the money distribution, it's 11-1.
Yeah, and I think no matter what way you look at it, there are 4 or 5 different stages here in the process. I'm reading exactly what Roughie was reading this morning. You're suddenly looking at 75% vote, which constitutes changing sections, subsections, paragraphs, lines of the Constitution. But once you get down to it, it will eventually come back to the 11-1. That's the end part of this, which involves the top flight.
Yeah, and you could look at, and if it does, even at 9-3, Peter, if it did stay at 9-3 for reasons that, sort of arcane reasons it stayed at 9-3, I think it'd be very difficult to get it through. But I think where it's going to be hugely difficult to get it through is Championship and below. Because at best, we can't prejudge the findings from Anne Budge. But at best, a lot of lower league clubs are saying we're going to be the same or maybe a little bit poorer. And we might even be robbed, if it goes to 14, we might be robbed of bigger gates against the Dundee Uniteds that will stay up, they'll go up, Hearts will go up, whoever goes up. So they're not, there's not much in it for them. And again, there's a lingering resentment about, how things have gone on there, would this all have been done if it had been Hamilton Academical? Would this all have been done if it was Ross County, for example? So I don't see at the moment, and I'm prepared to be wrong because I'm a supporter of 14 teams, I don't see an easy pathway to this, and certainly not in 2 and 3 weeks.
Yeah, another thing that's really disheartened me on this, Darren, is you're hearing various people. Some of them are, what we would call Anglos who've played in Scotland but are down south now, saying, "Oh, I'm looking at Scottish football. What a mess it is. It's an embarrassment, the whole thing." I'm disheartened by our bickering. I really couldn't give 2 hoots about what people down south think about this, because their arguments are about to follow when they eventually stop kidding everybody on that they're going to play football again. But up here, we surely should take some kind of, I don't know, moral, collective, compassionate view to how we move forward with 14, rather than just, as Hugh mentioned there, looking at it and starting to bicker about self-interest and whether they decided to do this or whether this guy had a vote 10 years ago that crippled us. I think they've got to get the petty chips off their shoulder and think about how dire it is, because Roughie said yesterday, Darren, see in 3 months, some clubs won't have enough money to go the next day.
Yeah, I was going to come in when Roughie said that, Peter. Now, listen, there's not a problem with self-interest. You need to look after your own house. You need to get that in order. You need to make sure there's money coming in and all that. I get that, but this is a bigger picture. We've never had anything like this before, and this is where I'll probably stand up for the SPFL, that they're dealing with something that they never in their life ever thought they would deal with. So you do, Peter. Yes, I see boys down south saying it's a disgrace what's happening up there. It's easy to have a go at Scotland. It's a smaller country. It's a smaller leagues. There is not as much money, but But Peter, when you go down south, there's that much in the papers about Celtic and Rangers. They don't understand how big they are down there, so they're ignorant to Scottish football. But I think we just need to forget about that. I think there has to be, the people need to sit down, who's ever going to be involved in the reconstruction, if there is going to be, they need to sit down and what's best for Scottish football now, not what's best for my club. Yes, I'm contradicting myself. It's got to be what is good for my club, but the bigger picture is Scottish football, without a doubt.
Yeah, so a little bit of give and take here. Just out of curiosity, sometimes I feel as if we're all guilty of it at times, which is acting like sheep, Roughie. Once somebody makes a statement we think's good, we think, oh, we'll latch on to that, and then we'll follow them in without really looking at the finer details on it. Is it a 14-team league? Is it a 16-team league? Is it an 18? And then the other thing here, which I think a lot of people, I don't really want to get down this road because I think it'll open another can of worms. I think if you'd taken us back 6 months, certainly taken me back a year, I don't think we can sustain 42 clubs in a country with just, 6 million people. But now we're in a situation where we've got this pyramid system and we could be on 44 clubs by the end of the next couple of months.
Yeah, and you're hoping the clubs, the two clubs we're talking about, Brora and Kelty, will bring something to the game. And I think we know all about Barry's club. They're a very ambitious club. And sometimes it might be the case when we need ambitious clubs into the league, we need to add, more variety in there, teams that have ambition, to go up the leagues. Because I think a lot of teams, get into a wee rut and they're happy in their own wee bit. So maybe the two teams coming in would give that division a wee bit of a shake-up, and a bit of movement. It might improve the teams who are down the bottom quite a lot, Brecon and that kind of thing. They might, get their act together. But I just think we've talked about it on numerous occasions that I think 14 for me, I think 16 and 18 is a big ask. I think, again, just reading the papers and listening to teams like Livingston and Hamilton and people thrown out there, I think 14 should be the focus, and the other thing everybody seems to be in debate about is it just for a year, or is it for 2 years, or is it for, I think that needs to be sorted out as well. If we're going to do it, let's do it, because there's so many ramifications of that. If it's just for 1 year, how many goes up, how many comes down, and then you're way back, everybody back at the table again. So let's get something in place that we can have a go at, improve the game.
Yeah, are you talking long term this one then, not short term?
Yeah, I'm 14. If it's going to be 14, let's go with 14 and work promotion and relegation out, and move on.
Okay.
If you're going for just saying short term, say 1 season, that does look as though if Anbudge is on the committee, that does look as though, all right, we'll get our house in order and we'll get up the league, so we're not relegated next year. So I do think it has to be long term as well.
Yeah, it's got to be long term. It's got to be long term, Peter, because it might not be Hearts next year. It might be Hamilton. So Hamilton are going to be the fall guys. So you've got to make it long term.
Yeah, but that's a separate argument here, Hugh, isn't it? I mean, that's like an argument of saying, is she suggesting 14 just to save her skin for 1 year, which is what Darren's suggesting, or should we look at 14 because it's for the long-term benefit of the game?
I'm saying, Peter, that people will look at that and say that's why she wants to be on the committee. I'm not saying that's what I'm, but we're saying that it should be longer term. You can't have a 1 season, then we'll go back to 10 because the game's up and going again. It gives us a chance to change it. Let's change it now.
Yeah, Hugh, I would suggest to you right now.
Peter, can I just ask you something that just in the financial side of it? You see how we've got, we know all the money that's getting handed out just now, right? And the Premiership is something like Celtic 3 million, something, Rangers right down to 1 million at the bottom. Is this new Sky deal going to give more money to the divvy next year?
Well, it's a 6-year deal, and I imagine that there'll be a bigger distribution. Now, if in the situation, Hugh, where we are on our knees, and Darren's talking about, a year from now, Hugh, economically, people are talking about us having to work our way out of this for the next 1, 2, 3 years. And dare I mention it, folks, once we get out of this pandemic, nobody's mentioned Brexit yet.
Yep, quite. But maybe we'll have to get Anne Budge in to sort that out as well. Maybe get her head out of work.
By the way, thank God we're not on a politics show, Hugh.
Well, do you remember when Brexit was our biggest worry? But yeah, I agree with I think it's got to be long term politically. Otherwise, she's got no chance of getting it through. I think it's got to be long term morally as well, because I think that's what it's all about. On your point about 42, 44 teams or whatever, Peter, one thing I would say very, very strongly, I think there still has to be a pyramid system, because we know, I mean, I've been up to Cove to interview Paul Hartley and see what's going on up there. I've been to Edinburgh City as well. And there's no doubt that they've been really strong additions to the league, really strong additions to the league, given that, a new sharpness. And I think Kelty, and in fact, I know Kelty and Brora Rangers would do the same. And also, there's a whole movement in Scottish football which has not quite been reported at the moment, and it's people deserting the junior ranks to be part of the pyramid system. And there's a lot of, Roughie will know this because he's got personal experience of it. There's a lot of really strong, viable, financially viable, well-supported junior clubs that are desperate to get into this pyramid system as well.
So you 44 then, Hugh? You 44?
All right.
Are you happy with the two coming in?
Yeah, I'd be happy with the two coming in, and but I'd also fiddle about with the lower leagues. I would make them regional, Peter.
Yeah, I think Hugh, you're perfectly right. The juniors have signed up for the pyramid system below the Lowland League. The Auchinlecks and everybody, they've already voted it through, so they're all going to be in a league below the Lowland to obviously, as you say, work their way up as well. And then you've got some really, really strong get into the senior ranks. So it is, the shift is there. It's just you worry about the people who are looking at these teams going, oh, wait a wee minute, we're getting this taken away from us. We need to get our act together here. And that, you would hope that would be the jump that they need.
Because people, if you go down to Kelty, as we have, and you look there and you see the attendances, you see the quality of player that's there, you see the attendance, and you see the infrastructure. They're going to make changes, but you see in the club, there's an incredible energy in that club. I watched it at Bonnyrigg as well. Went down there before they played St Mirren in the Cup, and you just see these are people who really want to do something, to want to make their club bigger and better. And if you look at Ayrshire juniors, Auchinleck Talbot, goodness gracious. They were. I was doing a game at Girvan with them, and they brought 500 to a Wednesday night game at Girvan. Never mind what they could bring to big games. So there's an energy there that's got to be met, Peter, and got to be encouraged, because that's what we really need in Scottish football.
I think you're right, Hugh. Peter, you know Jim Brown, James at Edinburgh City. Their ambition, they just don't. They've come into the league and they've been a breath of fresh air, and they want to build. You're not all of a sudden just going to get 5,000 fans turning up. It's going to take time, but they've got the ambition and they've done really well. And it just shows you, if people given a chance with ambition, where you can go.
I think, Peter, have you disappeared from the stage? I just think Scottish football is in the middle of a revolution, boys. And in the revolution, there's going to be casualties. And in the revolution, there's going to be real changes. But to be blunt about it, in the revolution, there's got to be opportunities. And there'll be clubs at the moment looking at it and going forward. If you're thinking about, if you're at Bonnyrigg, for example, you'll be saying to yourself, well, that's really disappointing. that the league's been called, because, for various reasons. But they'll also be saying, do you know what? It's proved to us we are a team that can get into senior football. And that is going to be a really pointed focus. And if you go down there, Peter, they are. They're well run, good players, great committee. So why not?
Yeah, okay. I'm all for meritocracy. I'm all for ambition, people wanting to better themselves. Yep, I'm up for that. I merely posed the question: do we have enough in the structure of the professional league and the business end of the way football is going across Europe? Do we have enough to sustain 4 leagues, 44 clubs, and with the ability, with that ambition, to go up and be at the top end of the game without getting to a situation where some clubs can come up with, the style of Gretna with a millionaire owner, and then it all topples down. These are lots of questions that we would ask. That's another programme. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're working out how long we're going to have to wait before we get to kick a ball again, and then what season that is. I think the general feeling right now is that, lots of clubs and lots of FAs across Europe are going to call their leagues. This could be the week that Celtic are declared champions. You might agree with it. You might not. Give us your thoughts on it. More than happy to read out as many as possible. John Kearney, Alec Kelly as well. Also Chris Collins, Chris Gardner, Nicky Twig joining us, Stevie Gilmore, Linda Graham, as well as Reg Tate, William Shirkey, William Patterson. So many people on Facebook, on YouTube as well. I have to suggest to you that right across, some people are actually watching the programme, Roughie, while they're out in their back garden, if they're lucky enough to have one, watching the programme. That's the commitment.
Well, that was my next question. Can I do it from outside, or have I got to be in the house?
Well, there's a phrase I never thought he was actually going to deliver on the show, Hugh. I mean, I don't know which way we want to go with that one, but I've heard that line somewhere before.
That's what you can say to Roughie. His commitment's total.
Absolutely. And then, of course, the next line from him will be, is there any chance I can do it while drinking a gin and tonic and a glass of wine? And then after that, if I allow him to do that, Hugh, everybody who writes in and emails us is getting leathered by him, because he'll start to lose the plot. Interestingly enough, Tony Watt is coming on, Roughie, and I'll tell you why you should stay with us for Tony Watt, because not only is he a hot topic of conversation, can he stay at Motherwell and finally score the goals? A 26-year-old, I think, with great talent, just needs to settle down for a couple of seasons. But Roughie, he knows movies inside out, and he watches a lot of them. And I think he's giving us his top 3 romantic movies, which might be good for you to listen to, Roughie. That's all I'm saying to you. Are you aware that he's on his movies? He's red hot at it.
Yeah. I think he was going to make a company of it. Was he not? Was he not going to start up some kind of business involved in movies? So yeah, it must be really, really into it. It'll be interesting to hear, what his 3 movies are.
Yeah, a bit of romance. Look at Darren smiling away there. Darren, by the time you hear these movies, I kid you not, he's going to suggest a movie. Hugh, you'll never believe this. Tony Watt, I caught up with him earlier, is going to suggest a movie that Andy Walker suggested to me one day on Super Scoreboard, and all the boys were absolutely caning him. And he said, go and watch it, because he phoned me up one night and said, I'm sitting here sobbing my heart out, just crying. And everybody, as you can imagine, the team on Super Scoreboard were never sympathetic at the best of times. So they absolutely battered them. And then eventually we had to watch the movie, and it was Darren, don't you watch it? It's an absolute tearjerker.
I cry at adverts.
I've been known to cry at a kettle boiling, but listen, Pierre, can I go for 2 guesses then? Is it Terms of Endearment or is it Beaches?
No, that's what it's in that vein. That's all I'm going to say to you, okay? So with that in mind, there's a couple of things I want to obviously tell you. I'll give you the answer to the quiz very shortly. Also, thanks to everyone who's been bidding for Barry's top. It's the one he played in 2007 in the Parc des Princes. And it's his armband and the commemorative cap. It's a brilliant auction item. Brian in Italy has bid £10,000, and it's a fantastic bid. I've still to look at some of the emails coming in to see if that's been topped yet, but £10,000 to the NHS Scotland would be absolutely sensational. Will we get better than that? Only time will tell. So if you want to, studio@plzsoccer.com is where you can send your bids for that top. If you're a genuine person who really would love that bit of memorabilia, then by all means do that. A lot of people giving us their messages. Thanks to Keith Berry, John Shields, as well as Peter Tierney and George Mullen. And Peter Tierney says, sometimes I cry at this show. So there you are. I don't mind. We can take the criticism. I'm happy with that, Peter. The good thing is getting battered. Yep. Stephen Martin reckons it's Philadelphia. That was the movie. I think I cried at that one as well. Now, listen, the Livy statement, just before we get into the meat and bones of a couple of things down south, the Livy statement, what did you make of it as far as the proposals there, Roughie? 14-team league, split top 6, bottom 8, 2 promoted from the Championship, 2 relegated from the Premiership, potentially 12th Premier versus the 3rd Championship in this kind of a playoff situation. Scottish Championship will be a 10-team league, same in League One, same in League Two, and of course the 2 promoted from the Highland and the Lowland League. This is their proposal. I'm sure you've looked at it in greater detail. What was your thoughts on it briefly?
Yeah, I have to say, Peter, it ticks all the boxes for me. Everything in that statement is something that if I was put around a table, I would go for. I think it's a really sensible move from another club that's come up from obviously the smaller league, so they know how difficult it is to get to where they are. So yeah, I'm right behind them. Yeah, you behind Livy, Hugh?
I think it's a sensible plan. I think it's more than reasonable. It would be. I would like to see it. Again, it's a caveat, Peter. I just think this is going to be hugely difficult to engineer in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. For the Livingston statement, are you backing that, Darren?
It looked, just there. It looks okay. Yeah, it's a club, obviously. I won the league with Livingston, so it was great when we won it up at Inverness, and obviously they were Meadowbank, so I've played for both. So it's a club close to my heart, and yeah, they've come out with something that looks really reasonable, looks that we can work on something, and yeah, I like that.
Yep, good call. I must admit, I think we've got to get next Tuesday, Roughie, the photograph of Darren starting at Meadowbank and then the photograph of him ending at Livingston as well. The 2 contrasts are unbelievable, Roughie.
Yeah, all credit to him playing at Meadowbank. Did you play in the Meadowbank Stadium? Yeah, Darren?
Yeah.
I mean, that was just a gale force wind every time you went there. So it must have improved your game dramatically when you went somewhere else, and the conditions were absolutely top notch because that was howling there.
Well, you weren't going to tremendous stadiums when you were playing in League Two at that time, Roughie. But just a quick story, Peter. My last game for Meadowbank was against Cowdenbeath at Central Park. And the following week, I was playing at St James's against Arsenal.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, that's absolutely magnificent, Roughie. You can't top that, can you, Roughie? 1 minute,
no,
you're there at Cowdenbeath.
Yeah, but I've never played in a second division anywhere, so I've never experienced that either.
Absolutely, well done. Bang. The other thing I was going to say to you is, Roughie, I was waiting and you saying there, oh yeah, I've played at Firhill 1 week and then the Maracana the next week. You know, that's a huge difference, isn't it, Roughie? Yeah, but it wouldn't have happened week on week. That one, no. It'd have been Firhill 1 week and Boghead the next. Yeah, Andy Wilson, who's over in Australia. Andy, we always love the fact that people near and far are tuning into the show. Andy Wilson says, I bet you Tony Watt goes for the champ. Now, there is a movie from quite a while ago. Oh, yeah. Did you cry at that, Darren?
Oh, God almighty. I can remember sitting, God, my dad's gone now, but I remember sitting watching it with my dad, God almighty. He was emotional. It was incredible. The two of us, I mean, I was only obviously young, but by the way, top movie.
Yeah. Look at the excitement in Roughie's face here.
I know. No, okay. I'm still trying to go over Bambi.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't give away the answer, Roughie, because there are kids watching this show who don't know what happens in Bambi, so shut it. Anyway, on that note, let's hear what Tony Watt had to say. I caught up with him earlier. Well, I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Motherwell striker Tony Watt. We're on lockdown, Tony. How are you handling it? How's the fitness?
It's been all right. I've just been trying to do 4 or 5 sessions a week and keep myself ticking over. Don't really want to burn myself out because we don't know when we're going to go back, but I need to make sure if they do bring the season back, then I'm ready to go in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, how's the family? Everybody fit, safe and well?
Aye, everybody's fine. We are on lockdown. We have been for the last 4 weeks since the Aberdeen game actually got cancelled. We've just tried to stay away. We're all healthy, young enough and fit enough, but it's for our people. We need to stay away and not try and get the virus to spread.
Yeah, wise words indeed. Let me take you to the main topic of conversation in Scottish football. They're all having Zoom meetings all over the place trying to come up with a plan for the way ahead. I think the general feeling, Tony, is nobody's going to kick a ball between now and the summer, possibly longer than that. So the season, it looks as if it's going to be called and they'll call Celtic as champions. Would you have any disagreement with that, or do you think it's a null and void season?
Personally, I think, yeah, they should get the champions. I think if it's going to save lives by not playing the games, which I think it will, you don't want fans in the stadium whenever there's an illness spreading as fast as it is, then rightly so. I don't think they'd have been caught based on form, based on how they've done. In December, if it get called, then you could probably have a case for it's so close. But now, I think the teams that will have more of a grievance about it will probably be your Hib, St Johnstone or Hibs, depending on how they call that situation. Hearts, and then obviously your teams in the lower leagues. It's going to be hard. I've seen Partick Thistle are only 2 points behind with a game in hand, so it's a tough one. I can see arguments for both sides, but if it's called, I won't have any grumbles with it.
Yeah, and with that in mind, Livingston have come out, obviously, and showed everybody their hand. They think a 14-team premiership. Do you think, what would you like to see, and do you think your suggestion should be a short-term fix or a long-term one?
I seen somebody tweet about it yesterday and I replied, I think it should be a long-term one. I think we've got the time. I personally, and I'm not saying we should, but I personally would have the Summer League because I think it helps the teams in Europe much more. I think your teams that finish 3rd and 4th or get through with a cup spot usually don't get through to the group stages, usually get to the last knockout round or maybe even before, as you've seen this year with Kilmarnock. I think if they're at full capacity and fully fit, then I think they could maybe get further and maybe go through. I think less games would be called off because the bad weather would come in February or March, but the pitches wouldn't be wrecked by that time. They'd just be brand new. I think it'd be good for kids in the summer. I think you could get a lot of kids through the doors because they'll be up later because of summer holidays. And I don't know, I just think personally a Summer League would be good. I would like to see as much teams as possible in the top league as well. I think it's harsh on your Highland League and your Lowland League teams if they have a full season, do well, I don't know how many games, 40 games each, and they can still none of them go up because they need to play each other. One doesn't go up, and then they need to play the team who's lost every game, or not lost every game, but not really done as well in League Two. And they could still lose that in a 2-off game, like a 2-off kind of playoff game, and not go up. So I think a full revamp, maybe 2 up, 2 down every year in every league. I've seen the Livingston one, and I think that's not too bad with 14, but personally I'd like to see maybe 16 or 18 because then you can play more teams and you get to move about, because I've played with a lot of players who've went down south because they say, what's the point in playing teams 4 times a season?
Yeah, I mean that's the big financial argument on this one is the old firm have got to satisfy Sky's demand for 4 games a season. You could still have a split in some of these permutations. I mean you've played for more than a few clubs and you've been abroad as well. I mean, do you like the fact that, do you think the fact of 14, 16 or 18 would maybe even give us the chance to blood some youngsters instead of this constant fighting against relegation for quite a considerable amount of the clubs in the top flight?
Yeah, I think I've played in Belgium where they've got 3 splits. It's like a relegation one. I think it's like playoff 1, playoff 2 and relegation, but the playoff 2 then splits into 2. So a lot of teams do get the chance to play young boys and improve them. And I also think if there was 18 teams in the top league, your Celtic and Rangers could put the good young players out to like the lower teams and get them more match experience. But now, like you say, there's only 12 teams in the league. 4 or 5 of them are fighting against relegation. They can't really make any wrong turns. But I do understand that Celtic and Rangers is a money fixture, so I've no problems with that needing to be played 4 times. Because if that's what's getting all the other teams the money from the Sky deals, then we can't really complain about it. It's just personally I'd like to see a bigger league, but I do understand if that needs to be played 4 times.
Okay, I'm gonna hit the nail on the head here. You and I always like a good Barney. We don't always agree. So here's my point of frustration with you. I look at Tony Watt and I see a young player that everybody was raving to me about. And I get frustrated because I think there are goals in you and lots of goals. How do you view your career at 26? Is it half full or half empty?
I always say to people, I'm happy with what I've done at Celtic. I was happy to leave. If there was any regrets I had, it would probably be a different chapter than Celtic. You look at Edward and I think he's a 40 game a season player at Celtic, maybe like Griffiths, but I was probably not going to score as many as Griffiths or have the all-round play as Edward. Maybe I could go and play 20, 25 games. So I'm happy I left. The only regret I have is now in the next 4 or 5 years I want to play 150 to 200 games. And that's not a regret that's happened yet, but if I don't fulfil that, then I'll have regrets. I'm just happy waking up every day being a professional footballer. I try to improve every day. The last couple of years I feel like I've improved, and I don't know, I still think the best is yet to come, and a lot of people say I haven't fulfilled my potential, but I done well down south for a couple of years at Charlton. I enjoyed it, and I've probably had a couple too much loan spells and moved here and there, and I still think at 26 nobody can ever be written off, and I still think I'm happy with what I've done. And if you asked me before my career, would you be happy with this, I'd take it, but I do understand I need to add probably a few more goals, and that's probably about staying one place for a couple of years or maybe a few years.
I agree with you 100%, Tony, but far be it from me to be biased, but Lanarkshire's a great area. It's a great club. You could stay here. There's lots to do, and you could achieve your ambitions at Motherwell.
No, I agree, and that's the aim. Hopefully, when all this is cleared up, we can actually get something in paper and get going, and hopefully improve myself. I do believe I've improved a lot over the last 2-3 years, and I still think there's a lot of improving to do. I think I need to make sure I get at least a 20-25 goal season in the next 2 or 3 years and actually cement a place where people say, do you know what, he's actually doing this, and people can see what I can actually do.
Yeah, fingers crossed that happens. Now, 2 quick things before we go. First and foremost, you've witnessed it. Barry's decided to auction his Scotland top from that game in Paris against France when we defeated them by a 0-0. It's at £10,000 now, Bod. They're piling in for it, by the way. They are absolutely piling. It's out of my league. I'm assuming it's out of your league as well. We're going to have to chap his door and just ask him for a lesser top.
Aye, for a freebie, I think we need to ask him for a training top, because I think £10,000, which is an amazing amount to raise for the NHS, hats off to him. But I think that's probably just out my ballpark just now.
Yeah, okay. And the other thing that I'm desperate to ask you about, every time we're on this programme, Tam McManus, of course, Barry, Roughie, we all look and we think to ourselves, right, what are we going to do in this lockdown? Who can we speak to that can give us the perfect advice? You're perfectly placed. the best box set, and give me the best movie that you've ever seen.
Best movie I've ever seen is easy. It's Stand By Me. Best box set, nobody will agree. I think it's One Tree Hill, but if it's for people out there, football kind of same age group, then I'd probably have to go with Sopranos.
Right, I'm not going to disagree with you on that. Most romantic movie that you love, because Roughie's obviously a wee bit of a romantic.
Oh, that's my favourite genre. It's got to be. I've got a top three. I'd say The Notebook, Dear John, and I'd throw one out there. Probably The Best of Me. That's my favourite genre.
Right, I'm happy with that. Tony, it's been an absolute joy talking to you. Fingers crossed you do bang in 25 goals for Motherwell when we get back. Lord only knows when that is. But listen, thanks very much for joining us. Top man.
No, thanks for having me.
Good man. Hey, Roughie, what do you make of that? The Notebook. That was the movie that had us all howling.
Yeah, you've spoke about that already. My quick three to bring a tear to your eye would be Titanic. You got to have a tear at Titanic, for goodness sake. Beaches, I think Hugh mentioned Beaches. Bette Midler, absolutely fantastic. And I've got to throw in Dumbo. Dumbo was just heartbreaking.
Oh dear. Anyway, Dumbo by name, Dumbo by nature. Hugh, you can go. Listen, Hugh, you can go back a good few years. You will be able to call on three classics.
Well, I would think if you talk about the old black and white romantic days, I would say Brief Encounter. That goes right back Trevor Howard. I would say after that, what would I say for another one? I'd say the best real tearjerker for me, and I watch it every Christmas, is It's a Wonderful Life. And I watch it every Christmas. Jimmy Stewart and salt tears, as they say. That would be my top one.
There's a lot of pressure on you, Darren.
Peter, I actually can't really think. My top movie all time is Top Gun.
Well, wait a minute. You told me it was Brokeback Mountain.
And Shawshank Redemption. That's my best movies, but I mean, as I say, I'm emotional, Peter. I cry at most of the movies.
Yeah, hey, Daz, don't bite with him. By the way, he cried. He cried at Emmanuel 4. Honestly, he's unbelievable. Anyway, I give you The Way We Were.
Right.
Yeah.
The Natural.
That one.
Have you seen The Natural?
Yeah. Is that Robert Redford?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just one of my all-time favourites, The Natural as well. And let's throw in another romantic one, Sleepless in Seattle. There you are. See when he finds when she finds the teddy bear up on the top bit. That's me. I'm gone. Tom Hanks. It's all good. Anyway, I'll leave you on this note, guys. Apart from anything else, Mesut Ozil has decided that he's not going to take a 12.5% pay cut. Hugh McDonald. He's on £350,000 a week. I don't know who his PR agent is, but he needs to have a word with him now.
Absolutely top trolling from Mesut, isn't it? It's just like absolutely brilliant. I just think that old saying, "No one likes us, I don't care." Just absolutely top trolling from him. I actually think, by the way, I mean, take wage cuts. I think it's really been unfair the way football has been targeted in this. You know, when nobody's been talking about hedge fund managers taking a wage cut, etc., etc. But yes, Mesut is certainly in the line of fire now.
I mean, Roughie, 350 grand a week, 12.5%. I mean, you'd automatically go out and say it. I think it works out that he might lose 2 million.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it is, you know, but we've been hearing lots of stories about him throughout, even on his football side, but this just tops a lot, you know, that for him to come out with something like that, and while this crisis is going on.
Do you think money changes you, Roughie? I mean, if you were on £350,000 a week, would you still talk to the likes of Hugh and Darren and myself? Would you?
No. It's not even debatable.
You see, Darren, it changes everybody. If you don't have those foundations in your life, Darren, that's what you get. You get Roughie, Money changes you.
I'm not talking about wages.
No, I know. By the way, he went in the huff with me for 2 weeks.
I find it incredibly strange that he's not, especially when the other Arsenal players are taking a 12.5%. Now, I read something that if they get in the Champions League, they'll get it back. If they get in the Europa League, they'll get. It's incredible that if everyone's taken a pay cut and he turns round. Listen, I think Hugh's right. Footballers have been targeted in all of this, and I think it's been a disgrace. Everyone thinks footballers earn X fortunes. Now, the ones in the Premiership do earn fortunes, but to turn around and say, when your teammates have taken it, for you to turn around and say, no, I'm not taking it, you're just alienating yourself big time from the club and from people outside.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Hugh, what was the year in the quiz? Rangers won 9 in a row.
I mean, that's too far along ago for me. The quiz, that's a different life for me.
Right. It was 19. Yeah, the answer was 1997. Do you not remember Brian Laudrup scoring at Tannadice, Darren?
96, 97.
Brian Laudrup with the header, Peter, if I'm correct. A very good header.
Yes.
It was. 1997, Scotland qualifying for the World Cup, and one of our guests, one of our pundits, getting a kilt on to go to Paris.
Yep, well done, Darren. The memories come flooding back. Roughie, what were you going to say?
Just to put me out of my misery before you all go, I watched one of the Scottish Cup games, the Queen of the South versus Aberdeen, the 4-3 game.
Yeah.
In the Scottish Cup. Who did they play in the final, and what was the score?
Who did
Queen of the South play in the final?
Played Rangers, I think, and got beat.
Yeah.
Is that the one Rangers went down to 8 men or something like that? Or
No, that was St Mirren.
St Mirren, the League Cup final. No, I think
Kenny Miller. Kenny Miller scored.
No. So it was Queen of the South versus
Did Nacho Nova score? No, that was Falkirk.
I thought it was Nacho Nova scored up in the Rangers end just after half time, I think.
Yeah. Roughie, is that all you wanted to know?
No, I saw the semi-final, obviously. I never saw the final, and I was just bugging me to see who won it. And unfortunately, young Stephen Dobie, he came off injured, which was a shocker as well.
Yep. Okay. None of that was in the script, folks. Roughie every now and then just throws in something that he wants to know the answer to. Anyway, all I would say is if you got a chance, studio@plzsoccer.com if you want to bid for Barry's top from the Scotland top from the game against France in 2007. It's got the cap in it, it's got the armband, and the money will go to NHS Scotland as well. I want to thank so many people. William Wright, Don Clark, who says the Green Mile. He'll love that. And also, Alec Kelly says Charlie Miller crossed it for Brian Laudrup. And by the way, guys, if you ever want to go on a complete downer, have a look at Brian Laudrup now. He looks magnificent. He still looks great. It's just, I mean, if he looked at me and I came up to interview him now, he'd clearly think I'd hit the bevy because he still looks sensational. Also, John McCrossan, John Hawkins, Chris Gardner, so many people, Freddie Young, Para Rourke, Craig Lumsden, lots of guys and girls, Mary McCormick. Thank you for supporting us. If you get a chance, like, share and follow us on Facebook. Tell your pals about it. We'd love for you to join the football family. And if you're on YouTube, there are so many people with some great points. Please, if you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and stick with us here on the Football Show. Last word then, guys, on this. Tony Watt was on. I enjoyed Tony and his crack. I hope he scores goals for Motherwell. He said the best box set is The Sopranos. I think the best box set I've ever watched, and I'm going to start watching it again, from the start to the end, because I know we're in lockdown for another 2 months, the West Wing. Darren, box set.
Peter, I get stick off my sister and Karen and all that. I don't sit and watch box sets.
Yeah.
I would like to, but I don't know. I don't have the time. But I'll need to. If we're going to be in this for another 4 or 5 weeks, I'll maybe need to sit down and start one. But I don't really do them.
Wow, you know the Beatles are split up, don't you, Dan? Yeah. Hugh.
I'm very strong for the Sopranos, but during lockdown, I've been watching Gomorrah, and I would say that Gomorrah is a viable contender for me. Gomorrah is absolutely sensational, Peter, and I've got it literally in a box set. I'm not streaming it. I've got it as a Christmas present, and I opened it up, and I can't take my eyes off it. So Gomorrah, about the Naples Mafia, fantastic series.
Oh, brilliant. I might even get into that as well. And we've kept the big man to the last because we're hoping that this doesn't take us off air. Roughie, the best box set for you?
Well, I've actually seen all the episodes, all the seasons, but if you haven't and you never get into it, it would have to be Game of Thrones for me. I thought right for the start to the end, it was absolutely magnificent.
Yeah, okay. Folks, answers on a postcard why he picked Game of Thrones. Darren already knows. Hugh will eventually shake his head once the penny drops. So, on that note, it's Game of Thrones is it's like what was that Roman thing that Derek Jacobi used to be on BBC? Was it Caligula?
Hi, Claude.
I, Claudius. Hugh, it's a modern day I, Claudius. Even though it's set in a fictional world, there's one part of it that appeals to Roughie. Listen, hopefully we appeal to you tomorrow. Join us if you can. We'll have an update on the strip, and we'll also be chatting away. Lawrence Shankland, the Dundee United striker, will be our special guest. Incidentally, just as a footnote, if you get a chance, go on to the Motherwell website. They've got a great little initiative going, Motherwell Against COVID-19. It's a reality little game that hopefully, if you are a fan and you want to raise money for local charities in the Motherwell area, Grant Russell and all the Motherwell team do a great job there. Get onto the Motherwell website and then click through for their initiative, and you can raise money for all their local charities as well. Grant had a wee chat with me this morning. I thought it's a great initiative. So many people doing great things around their local community. Well done to Motherwell Football Club. From Darren, from Hugh McDonald, from Alan Ruff and myself, Peter Martin. Stay safe. Thanks for watching.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.